So I'm on the practice green with Cole, and I've been struggling with my wedges. I won't say lately because it's been always. I bought these new Kirklands. I actually kind of like them, but been talking to Cole of how I don't really have like a stock wedge shot. Sometimes I try and hit a flop like Phil Mickelson. It doesn't go well. Sometimes I try and hit like that sexy little nipper that goes like, yeah, like the JT that you hit it like low, it skips once and goes down, like a chunk and run, bump and run, whatever it might be. I don't have like one that's mine. So I asked Cole if he can kind of demonstrate how the heck I find that.
What's up, guys? So when it comes to chipping, unlike putting, there are a few like really important fundamentals with the chipping shot that you're going to see all the best players in the world do on a regular basis. Okay, and when it comes to chipping on greens, most amateurs make chipping much harder than it needs to be. They make it way too complex because they see these pros hitting all these crazy shots. Well, believe it or not, there's not a ton of variance in those chip shots. There's certain things that they'll do in their setup that make those shots, super high or super low. But for the most part, they're not making massive swing changes or grip changes. So Kyle was asking, what's more of like a stock chip shot that I can practice and throw into my game, that if I don't know what to do, I can just hit that shot and know that at least I'm not going to skull it over the green, or I'm not going to chunk it 4 feet. You know what I mean? So let's, for the sake of this shot, we'll just go to this chip shot right here. It's a very basic chip. We've got 45 feet here. We're just a couple yards off the green. And Kyle want to know that, okay, I have this chip shot. I should learn how to play this shot the exact same way every single time and not overcomplicate the shot, right? Which applies to the same shot if it's going downhill 60 feet or uphill, right? We can play those shots with the same technique, okay? So the first thing is that you want to get the weight of your body on your left side, okay? That's going to help increase the consistency of your contact. The second thing is you want to open up that stance just a little bit, okay? Because if you get too closed off, it's hard to get your body rotated through the golf ball. And when you can't get your body rotated through the golf ball, that's what ends up in chunks and skulls. The second thing is you want to make sure that your hands stay in front of the head, of the club head, okay? Because what most all golfers that are just starting out, or they've been playing for a couple of years, but they haven't gotten, to the point where they feel confident with the chipping, is that they do a lot of this flipping action right here, right? You're not going to see that on tour. You're not going to see professional golfers doing that, okay? There are certain times where if they're short-sighted and they have a tight lie and have to generate a ton of spin, yes, they'll release the club head. They'll release the club head a little bit more, but for the most part, they're not making the shot harder than it needs to be. So for a shot like this, I'm going to play it. I'm going to play the shot one time and show you kind of what it looks like, and then I'm going to explain just a little bit more in detail how you should focus on practicing that chip shot. So I got my weight on my left foot. I'm a little bit opened up to the target line. You can see that. I'll take it back. Something like that, okay? So
that's a makeable putt.
Yeah, we've got 4 feet
for
there.
some people.
Leaked a little bit out to the right. And that's okay, had I set up and, read this chip a little bit more, I would play a little bit more out left.
I'm going to go face on so we can see the hands work.
Yeah. There we go, that's a much better chip right there.
So now
we've got, 2.5 feet.
Would you be able to use that shot for longer distances?
Absolutely, absolutely. So at that point, let's say we're going to that back pin. This is going to be kind of a touchy shot. We've got a 30-yard chip here. It's all running away from you, so this is really important. I mean, this shot is a hard shot for anybody to keep in mind because the golf ball is running away from you. But for the sake of trying to get it up there, you're going to play the shot the same way, but the swing is just a little bit bigger. So instead of having that little tiny swing like this, okay, so now we're just going to have the hands come back a little bit further, a little bit higher, still keeping everything in front of you and rotating the body through the swing. So we get back to here, instead of doing this, we want to get that body rotating through the swing, okay? But the same way, nothing else, nothing fancy. And then this is the part where feel comes in really important to just get that speed down. It's going to be a little bit deep. That's okay. I got 10 feet coming back up that hill, but like I said, that's a difficult chip shot. But the point is that if guys doing that all the time, right? You're going to see a guy play this shot more consistently with a stroke, with a swing that they know is going to get perfect contact every time, and then just focus on getting that speed dialed. So really briefly, I'm just going to show you a drill that I do a lot that seems really simple and kind of like elementary in a way, because the drill is so simple, but it's so effective in developing a consistent chip shot. So hypothetically, I would grab 6 or 7 clubs, and I'd put one here, and I'd space it a yard from here, so kind of like that, here. And then all I would do is I would literally just chip and try to land it in between those clubs. I wouldn't do anything crazy. I would use the exact same chipping stroke. So I'd go here. Okay, I landed it between the first one, theoretically. I need to hit a little bit harder.
So now you're worrying about where the ball is actually landing, not where it's stopping.
Correct, the actual point where it's landing, because when you're hitting a chip shot, if you have an easier chip like this, I'm trying to make this thing, you know what I mean? And so the goal is you need to see the putt, you need to see this chip shot, not from what the chip shot looks like when the ball's in the air, but what it's going to do and act as if it were a putt, you know what I mean? Because I'm trying to see this thing go on the hole. So if I know that it's swinging, I want to get it on the ground fairly quickly. And let it release and start that natural end over end roll to give myself a shot at making a putt.
So that's one thing a lot of amateurs struggle with, including myself, is that we see a chip shot, we get at our lob wedge, we think we're going to hit this high, nasty flop shot, have it die at the hole, right in the hole, and it just doesn't happen.
Yeah, it's just inconsistent. That's a very low percentage shot. And absolutely, there's a time and a place for, you know, getting your 58 or 60 degree wedge, opening up, and then using the bounce and trying to clip it without taking it. You know, that was a terrible practice swing, but like without trying to take a ton of ground with your swing. You know, you're trying to pick the golf ball clean to get a ton of spin. But that shot, I mean, you could play every round of golf the rest of your life without that shot, and you could still score par. You know what I mean?
For sure. Thanks, Cole. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.